This is a production of the Gold Arrow Podcast Network. Hello, and welcome to the Gold Arrow Camp POG-Cast, a podcast for friends of Gold Arrow Camp. Throughout the year, we join you to bring your day some of what makes Gold Arrow special. Our goal is to help you have fun, make friends, and grow throughout the year, not just when you're at GAC. Since we can't get together in real life, we gather here, around the virtual campfire. We have some of your favorite parts of morning assembly, like Joke of the Day. We also have interviews with experienced campers and some of your favorite counselors. We think it's a lot of fun, and we're glad you joined us here on the podcast. This is episode 50. We're celebrating by welcoming Crash to the podcast. Today I'm spending the POG-Cast talking with one of our group counselors from last year, Crash. In fact, last week, his co-counselor for most of 2019 was the guest. That was Oyster. Oyster had a great chat, and Crash and I had a great chat. Crash and I talked about a lot of great stuff, and I think you'll really enjoy it. The thing that really stood out to me was hearing him talk about the connections he made at camp, both with his campers in the cabin and with his fellow staff members. It's so fun for me as a director to hear a counselor talking without being asked about it directly about how we build relationships at camp. Building relationships is one of our core values. It's super important to us at camp. It's one of the reasons camp is so important. And so it was really awesome to know that our counselors feel the same way. Anyway, here's Crash talking about that and a lot of other things. Oh, welcome to the podcast, Crash. What's up?
Thank you very much. Hey, Soy, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Living a life.
Right, we'll take not too bad when it's kind of the camp off season, and like it can only be so good when you're not at camp, right?
Yeah. Camp's really it can't come around quick enough, I guess.
Right, it's like Christmas, only further away, which is always kind of hard for me. So I guess we should start off, maybe for people who somehow don't know you, kind of explain who you are and what you do for camp.
I'm Crash. Hello. I was a group counselor this year at camp. I was with the Eagles boys. I was in cabin 30, and I lived with Oyster for the majority of my summer and Finn for session 1 as well, which was awesome. And then I had Ratco and Diggs with me in mini camp. So that was really fun.
So you were hanging out down in Valhalla for most of the summer, doing the things the Eagles boys do. It was your first year at camp. Now, you're coming back this year for 2020, but this 2019 was your first year.
Absolutely.
What was the biggest thing you learned at camp in that first year?
I think it's really hard to narrow it down, but I think before I came to camp, I wasn't the most self-confident person. I was kind of worried about what people would think about me all the time. But then I think coming to camp kind of really helped me to just sort of open up and realize that you can do all the goofy stuff you want, and the people that you want to make friends with will kind of entertain that idea of you being goofy. And it doesn't matter if someone thinks that that's not for them. Like, you don't have to be friends with everyone, but I think it was just kind of an eye-opener that I should be me a lot more of the time.
Sure. I think that it's a really important point about camp in general. Like, I think camp is a place, and some campers, and I think I'd be interested to hear what you think, because you had older boys, and I think older campers in general are kind of, they come from a place at school and societally where you got to be cool. You got to do what the cool people are doing. You got to fit in. And camp, there's a permission structure there that says, no, you can be who you want to be, and everybody's going to kind of celebrate that. Did you find that to be true with kind of 13 and 14-year-old boys?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, they all seem to just get really stuck in, and like in the first couple of days, they'd be a little bit uptight maybe, and sort of like, oh, I've got to do what everyone's cool with. But then we had a Valhalla campfire at the start of every session. Mm-hmm. I think sort of after that point, the boys kind of realized, like, I'm going to be better liked if I'm just me, because I'm good at being me, and people like it when I'm just happy. I guess they're happy to see me happy.
Yeah, and I think when you've built that kind of culture that says I'm happy being happy, then people are accepting of that. And I find that people are more accepting of people who are themselves than they are of people who are trying to project something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a much more genuine connection you get with someone if they're being themselves.
Exactly. Like, it's when we're all honest about who we are, then those connections we build are built on solid stone as opposed to shifting sand.
Yeah.
It was your first year. You're already excited to come back. What was your favorite part of working at camp?
That's a tough one. Um, I think it was. I think it's because of the nature of camp. Like you just get so many like-minded people in one place, especially with staff as well. I found that everyone was really outgoing and willing to talk to anyone at any time. It was just really nice to be in an environment where you could sort of turn around the corner and be like, "Oh, hello, there's three people I know we can have a 5 minute conversation with." And I don't think it was ever really awkward in any situation at camp.
And that's interesting to me because I think I've been there for 12 years now. And so for me, that feels like natural. Obviously, I know everybody. I've been there for a long time. But like you're saying, even when it's your first time at camp, it ends up being that way pretty quickly that everybody you feel like, oh, there's somebody I can have a 5 minute conversation with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was shocked. I'd been told by the people who referred me that you kind of build friendships really quickly, but I didn't expect it to be that quick. I didn't. It really took me by surprise. Where by the end of sort of session 2, I could talk to virtually any of the staff and just sort of like smile and say hello. It was a really nice feeling, and you felt really kind of welcomed into a family almost.
Did in your experience, does that happen for campers as well? When campers are new, do they feel that same way?
Yeah, yeah. I would say so. Obviously, having the older boys, I didn't have as many new campers,
Sure.
but I had a lot of returning campers. So, but then when I did have the new campers who were the first years, even if they didn't know anyone beforehand, they by the end of the session, it was so nice to see that they were fully integrated with their cabin or my cabin. They made so many plans to like keep in touch outside of camp, and all the parents were saying, "Oh, let's like meet up. We can do a trip to Six Flags or something like that." And it was just so nice to see that they were involved just as much as the people who knew each other already.
That's awesome. If people can't tell from your accent, you're not an American. You come to camp on a cultural exchange visa.
I'm not. Yes.
And so working in the States on a cultural exchange visa is different from visiting. It's different from learning about it other ways. What was your biggest surprise about America?
It didn't really come as a surprise, but just how, in contrast to the UK, how friendly everyone is. I mean, it was just sort of, I'm not sure if that was just a thing for camp or whether it was like America in general, but it's just like I felt you could walk up to virtually anyone and ask a question, and it wouldn't be seen as an awkward thing to do or sort of something that you wouldn't do day to day. It was much more accepted to just kind of go up to someone and ask a question and maybe have a quick conversation.
Okay. I think the State Department would be thrilled with that answer. That's what they want, is to kind of build this international relationships. So as a group counselor, like for people who might not be aware of how that works, you go around to every activity with your boys. So your entire job is like facilitating friendships and like helping with support and goal setting and all, and like in general being with the boys. What's the best part of that job?
Yeah, the connection that you get with the kids was honestly, I think, my favorite part of the whole summer. I mean, every session, all the boys were just like, by the end, they were like brothers rather than just kids I was looking after at a summer camp. Like I had a personal connection with each and every one of them. I could have a laugh with them all. I think it was just so nice to get that really close connection to like such a big group, really.
Yeah.
And it just made every day feel like it. Well, I mean, it didn't really feel like a job at all. It was just hanging out with 10 guys, going around doing a bunch of fun activities.
I think that's a really kind of important point that people often miss, because you hear a lot about, oh, what activities does camp offer? Oh, how does this work? And yeah, the activities are awesome, and I don't want to downplay them. They're how we spend our time, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
But the reality for
definitely.
me is that I think camp is awesome and would be awesome without the activities, because you're still building these relationships, and that's the thing that actually matters long term, I think.
Yeah, well, I think most of the memories looking back at camp now that I have that are my favorite memories are more based around the people who are in the situations rather than the environment of the situation.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you brought it up. Memories from camp last year. What's your favorite camp memory?
Final campfires. They were always really nice to see, because I think particularly in that moment, it kind of casts you back to the first campfire you had, and you just kind of see the contrast in how, like, the group dynamic and how at the start everyone was a little bit hesitant to speak, and like they'd maybe crack a joke, and I don't know if like it would fall flat. But then everyone by the end of the session knew each other so well that there was so many inside jokes, and like it was just really smooth flowing conversation. And it was like you had to drag them away from the fire to get to bed. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. And again, it's not an activity, right? This is all relationship stuff. And that's really...
This is, yeah.
And I think in a world where so many of our relationships are via text or, at best like a FaceTime kind of situation, like building a thing with, 10 other people where it's all based on face-to-face communication is insanely powerful stuff.
I think I hugely underestimated how much I would enjoy being unplugged as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that really, really helped kind of immerse you in the camp experience.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. All right, Crash. It's time for the speed round. 5 questions we ask absolutely everybody who comes on the podcast. Here they are. Crash, what's your favorite camp song?
Mrs. O'Leary. It's got to be.
Wow, I didn't even hesitate. Favorite item on the salad bar?
Ooh, lettuce.
Just lettuce.
I mean, sure. Mixed leaves.
Mixed greens, yeah. We do have mixed greens. That's very important to note. Favorite lip balm flavor?
I was a Mobo Mango guy.
Mobo Mango. People love it or they hate it. Around the campfire at night, mallows or popcorn?
Marshmallows every time.
That's a boy after my own heart. And finally, Crash, what's your real name?
My real name is...
I'm looking at the clock. We're all out of time, Crash. I'm so sorry. We'll have to have you back on the program to get your real name. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Crash.
Not a problem. It's been my pleasure.
In a world with far too much seriousness, far too much drama, we bring you something different. The joke of the cast.
Why is it called Joke of the Day if it's not funny?
So we have a special guest for Joke of the Cast this week. Hey, Delta, what did Jay-Z call his wife before they were married?
Fiancé.
At camp, we love making friends, but we know it's harder to make friends at home. That's why we bring you this, the Friendship Tip of the Week. We're still talking about friendship tips in the theme of finding common interests. On the flip side of finding common interests, find a fun thing that your friend loves doing that maybe isn't your favorite, and do that thing with them. They'll love sharing one of their favorite things with you. If it all goes well, maybe they'll ask to do one of your favorite things next time. And now, it's time for another GACspiration with Sunshine.
We love trying new things at GAC. So today's GACspiration is an anonymous one, and it says, you know all those things you've always wanted to do? You should go do them.
And with that, we come to the end of the 50th episode of the Gold Arrow Camp POG-Cast. I appreciate you coming along for the ride, whether this was your first time or whether you've listened to all of them. Hi, Mom. Appreciate you listening. I know that this is a fun thing for us to do, and I hope it's a fun thing for you to listen to. As always, special thanks to Cheerio for putting together the friendship tip as well as the kindness calendar on our website. That's goldarrowcamp.com. Thanks to Sunshine for the GACspiration, and thanks to Crash for taking time out of his day to chat with us about the connections he made at camp. I really enjoyed that, and I hope you did too. As always, if you like the show, subscribe, rate it, review it on iTunes or wherever you get podcasts. Suggest it to a friend. Suggestions, just send those to WOW at goldarrowcamp.com. As always, I'm Soy, and I'll save a marshmallow for you.